Action Cam is brought to you by the Samsung Galaxy S8. Unbox your phone. Blue Jays looking for a series victory over the Baltimore Orioles and a chance to move back within 2 games of the 500 mark and into a tie for 4th place with the Orioles if they can get a win tonight. Here's the starting lineup for Baltimore in the final game of this series. And again, we've been talking about it the last couple of nights. About as hot a hitter as there is right now, Trey Mancini. The Orioles didn't do much last night, but he had a couple of hits, and he's hitting well over 400 during an 8-game hitting streak.
That is the lineup that Jay Happ will face tonight. Jay missed a month and a half with elbow inflammation, has made 5 starts since leaving the disabled list. He's getting stronger the more he pitches. His last 3 starts have been good, but he can't pitch any better than he did in his last outing. A run on 4 hits with 5 strikeouts. His fastball was jumping. He had lots of life to his fastball against Kansas City. He's seeking his first win versus Baltimore in 2017. He's 0-2, but he's only allowed 4 runs on 9 hits against the Orioles.
A look at the defense behind Happ tonight. Couple of changes. Carrera and Goins both in, left-handed bats, righty on the mound. We focus not only offensively but defensively on Justin Smoak.
Tonight's about Justin Smoak. I think we got to get him into the All-Star game, but we talk about his offense all the time. His defense is pretty good. He has started every game at first base for the Blue Jays except 10 of them. Blue Jays 11th in the American League in fielding. Justin Smoak's made 1 error all season long over at first base.
Ready to go here at the Rogers Center. Roof closed. Some rain in the area today and tonight. Joey Rickard leads it off for Baltimore. And Jay Happ in there with a fastball over the outside corner for a strike. Rickard, the left fielder, hitting .246, couple of home runs. Young-Soo Kim in left the last couple of nights against the righties. Rickard getting a start against the lefty. After Rickard, Manny Machado, and then Jonathan Scope. Smoak even with a bag at first. Donaldson backed up at third. And the fastball misses away, ball 2.
That's the ball that he was sticking against Kansas City all afternoon long. That fastball away. He said it's really simple. Just get ahead. That helps me to control the count and then throw the other pitches off of that. So if you get ahead and use that fastball like he did, you're going to have some success.
A high fly ball into medium depth right field, and Jose Bautista's there, 1 down. Last 3 starts for Happ against the Royals, White Sox, and Mariners, and a combined 4 earned runs in 19 1/3 innings, and maybe even more impressive than that, Tabby, the strikeouts to walks. 22 strikeouts and just 1 walk.
Yeah, impressive stuff for Jay Happ. When you talk about that 7-to-1 strikeout ratio, strikeout to walk ratio, 3rd in the major leagues with pitchers with at least 44 innings this year. He's just been peppering that strike zone with fastballs.
Even when you take into account his starts before he went on the disabled list, so he's made 8 starts in all. In 5 of them, hasn't walked a batter. One of the others, he only walked 1. Now, he's got knocked around a couple of times as well. Oakland got to him before he was hurt. Milwaukee got to him. But the last 3 have been the Jay Happ of last year. And the Jay Happ of last year was a 20-game winner.
Yeah, that Oakland start, the Cincinnati and Oakland starts were the starts when he came right off the disabled list. And he admitted that he could have used a couple of more starts down in the minor leagues to build up his arm strength, to build up his endurance and his ability to throw strikes consistently. But he pitched him here at the major league level, got knocked around a little bit.
Ground ball backs up. Donaldson picks it up, fires in time to get him 2 down.
Well, one of the things that Jay has improved on this year is throwing the sinker and getting ground ball outs. Last start he threw 29 sinkers, so you're going to get a lot of ground balls. The infield better be ready. Donaldson shows off his ability at 3rd base, backing up just a little bit and then recovering to get Machado at first base. Blue Jays' inner defense has played a little bit better on this homestand.
2 down for Jonathan Scope. And right on the outside corner, a called strike. Scope hitting .293, 15 home runs on the season. And a couple of hits on Tuesday night. Took an 0 for last night. The Orioles 1 game ahead of the Blue Jays. Orioles 38-39, Blue Jays 37-40. As Smoak drives one to deep left field, going to be off the wall. And Smoak does not even get to second base on that play. We'll have to get a look, and I wonder if he thought it was going out, as Carrera had to play it on a bounce off the wall. But that's going to be an awfully long single for Jonathan Smoak.
The ball was hit very hard, and Carrera was right there to get the ball off of the walls. Smoak plays the game the right way, so he is hustling. It's right here he makes the decision to not go. He was thinking about it and then looked up and saw that Carrera was right against the wall and had it, but the throw in wasn't really that strong from Carrera. It actually bounces to Tulowitzki.
Yeah. I think when Carrera turned in and started his throw, he was almost assuming Smoak would be at second base,
yes,
almost conceding the double. So, but instead it's a very long single. And Adam Jones is the batter. First pitch swinging, ground ball to Donaldson, and that's your inning. No runs, a base hit, and a man left. Good start for Jay Happ. Blue Jays coming up against Ubaldo Jimenez. Orioles in the top half of the inning, and here's the way that John Gibbons will line them up tonight against Ubaldo Jimenez. Justin Smoak continues to be on a tear. Hit a home run last night, his 21st, and hitting .341 over his last dozen games. And Kendrys Morales probably looking forward to seeing Ubaldo Jimenez. Some very good career numbers against the veteran righty.
Making his 11th start of the season, 16th appearance, and he's a veteran. This is his 301st career start, 314th career appearance, so he's no spring chicken, but he has had some tough times. He has failed to make it through 3 innings in his last time out, allowing 9 earned runs on 7 hits, and made worse by 4 walks, and that covered just 2 1/3 innings. Says it's been tough coming to the ballpark. Pitching the way that he has, says I have to remain positive and keep fighting every day that I go out to the ballpark.
Came up with Colorado, had some really good years for the Rockies at the beginning of his career, and in fact had a first half back in 2010 when he was like Scherzer Kershaw like for about half a season. But once he lost it, he couldn't find it again. He's been with the Indians, been with the Orioles now for 4 years, signed a pretty big contract, and he gets hit hard more often than not. As Jose Bautista fouls one back just below us.
You know, he's had some beauty games against the Blue Jays in the past when he is hitting on that fastball in the outside corner to all these right-handed batters. He can throw that ball out there. Still has plenty of steam on those pitches. He just falls behind too often.
And he freezes Bautista with a breaking ball to get him 1 down. Defensively behind Jimenez tonight, a couple of changes. Rickard and Gentry in the outfield, and Ruben Tejada's at short tonight.
Just acquired 3 weeks ago from the Yankees, into the lineup today. This is his 3rd game for the Orioles, his first start at shortstop for Baltimore. He was brought up here when Paul Janisch went back down earlier this season.
Russell Martin with a bouncer and Machado with an easy play. Quickly 2 down.
This has always been a very good fielding team, the Baltimore Orioles, but this year middle of the pack in the American League, tied for 7th in the American League in fielding percentage.
That guy's pretty good, though.
Yeah, he's pretty good. He's got seven errors this season. Some careless throwing errors from Machado this season, but tough to get it by that guy.
2 down and the bases empty for Josh Donaldson. It looks like he might be taking a little bit of extra time to get in there. A couple of quick outs. Donaldson hitting .265, 8 homers. And Jimenez in with a strike. Of course, the last time that Jimenez pitched in this ballpark, he surrendered the home run to Edwin Encarnacion in extra innings as the Blue Jays won the wild card game.
He has not had a lot of fun here at Rogers Center over his career. 7 games, 2-3 ERA, over 6 here at Rogers Center. In those 7 games, 5 home runs he's given up. He can be really tough, or he can be really wild.
What were you saying?
That's right on cue.
How did you make him do that?
This time, it's timed, right? No, he's a mystery. He's a mystery. You mentioned the season a few years ago, how good he was, and then you get one of those.
One, 2. Fly ball to right field. Pretty well hit. But just shy of the warning track. Gentry will make the catch, and the Blue Jays go in order. End of 1, no score. Orioles and Jays.
I asked pitching coach Pete Walker whether we're seeing the James Happ that we've seen all of last year, dominating hitters over his last few starts. Walker told me that he's actually recognized that he was slowly returning to form some 2 weeks ago during one of the veteran left-handers side sessions. Walker noticed that Happ's delivery was slowly falling into place. He said the consistency was there. His tempo is where it needs to be right now, not wasting too much time on the mound in between pitches. Now, over his previous 3 starts, Walker noticed Happ is definitely on the attack. His command of the fastball right now is exceptional. Happ's string of 3 consecutive solid starts, Dan, is welcome news for a rotation struggling to really find some consistency this month.
Yeah, they do need consistency. If they're going to get on a run, put together a winning streak at over 500, really insert themselves into contention, it all has to start with starting pitching, right?
And you're starting to get that. Marco Estrada had a really good start. Jay had a good start in Kansas City. Marcus, you can't throw any better than the way Marcus threw last night. Liriano had a good start in Kansas City, so maybe the Blue Jays are ready to go on a little roll.
Marcus Stroman, 7 2/3 outstanding innings last night. Aaron Sanchez, by the way, is scheduled next to make a start at AAA Buffalo on Sunday. Came out of his start a couple of nights ago with Dunedin. None the worse for wear. By all accounts, the finger's okay, and if all goes well in Buffalo on Sunday, a chance you could see Sanchez back in the Houston series before the All-Star break.
Let's see. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. That could be Friday, right?
Yep.
Friday, or if they want to push him back to Saturday or Sunday, well, that's always good news. Get a fresh arm like that.
It's like making a trade.
It's like making a trade at midseason. You know what I like about the starting rotation of the Blue Jays? You got 5 different. Let's say put Sanchez in there and say we put Biagini back in the bullpen. You got 5 distinct different types of styles of pitching, making it very difficult for the opposition. You got Jay Happ, the left-hander, who's got that 93, 94, and he just keeps pumping it in there. Liriano, he's all over, slider, changeup. I mean, just great stuff when he's hitting on all of his stuff. Estrada with the changeup.
Yep. And you mentioned Estrada. Great to see him get back and have the kind of start that he had against Kansas City. Much more Estrada-like. What he's done for the Blue Jays over the last couple of years. I mean, he's been as steady a guy as there's been around baseball the last couple of years. So if he's figured it out and back on the beam, that's huge for the Blue Jays.
Yeah, they can go on with that type of starting pitching. One of those runs where you win 10 out of 12, 11 out of 13. Believe me, these guys are working hard in between their starts, trying to figure things out and get on a nice little roll.
3-2 to Trumbo, poked foul down the right side. Trumbo, big strong guy, 47 home runs to lead the majors last year, just 10 though nearing the midway point of this season, and only 1 for 16 in his career against Jay Happ.
He can climb that ladder with that fastball, go up there if he wants to, or throw that split finger changeup that he has.
Tulowitzki behind the bag in time, 1 down.
Hit a home run with any project this season. Home Hardware, proud sponsor of the Toronto Blue Jays.
In his last start against Kansas City, Jay Happ threw 3 changeups, and all he does is he splits his 2 fingers, his index finger and his middle finger, and just throws it as hard as he can. Takes a little something off of it and gets a little tumbling action on that. I asked him about it the next day. I said, how come no changeups or barely any changeups? He said, my fastball was working. I was sticking it on both sides of the plate. Kansas City, they can't handle that fastball, so he kept going with it. But it's in there. And it might be a big pitch for him tonight against this Orioles team. They can hit the fastball.
Happ falls behind 2-0 in the dangerous Trey Mancini, hitting over 400 his last 18 games, and had 2 of the 5 Orioles hits a night ago. Chris Davis on the DL. Mancini getting a lot of time at first base and delivering. Fouled off, 2-1. The early signs on the location of the Happ fastball are very positive tonight. A lot of them right on the outside edge against the right-handed batters. Of course, he'll come in over the inside corner with that fastball as well. There it is again.
There's a beauty. He was saying after that start in Kansas City, I was just trying to stay out of the middle as much as possible. And that really allowed me to go outside with my fastball. I can cut my fastball in on right ace if I need to. Because when you jump ahead like that and pitch ahead, it just controls the at-bat that he's able to use other pitches to get outs. There's the usage for this season. 70% of the time he's going to use his fastball. Last start, Jay used it 85% of the time.
And not a guy who throws 97, 98 miles an hour, but he locates it so well, gets a lot of swings and misses.
And he's tricky. He's got a high spin rate, and that ball really gets on those hitters. He's at full strength right now. You can see the life on his fastball.
Got it. Foul tip held by Martin, 2 down.
Hitters talk about that all the time. What kind of life does that starter have on his fastball? You see it out of his hand, and all the way towards home plate, it just jumps. And you're a little bit tardy like Mancini is on that pitch.
So 2 down in the inning. That's the first strikeout of the night for Happ. Now the batter is the Baltimore catcher Caleb Joseph, a late add into the lineup. And making the most of it. He lines one into the left field corner for a base hit. And Joseph is on his way to second with a 2-out double. Just minutes before the game, we were told Wellington Castillo, who was to have been the starting catcher for the Orioles tonight, had been scratched. Joseph takes his place. No reason given that we've heard yet. And Joseph, first pitch he sees, has a double.
Some of the best games you have are those games where you're not thinking about playing. You're just kind of minding your own business on the bench. The coach taps you on the shoulder and says you're in there. You don't have time to think. Get your mind out of the way. Just go up there and just react, and that's what Joseph does. It looks like a cutter that came down and in. He dropped the head on that one.
So the Orioles got a 2-out single in the first. That's all. 2-out double here in the second. And here's Craig Gentry, another fastball right over the outside corner. Gentry, right-handed batter, generally in his career has been mostly a platoon guy, playing against lefties. Good defensive outfielder.
Lots of speed. Something that the Orioles don't have a lot of, but when a lefty is on the mound, it might be their fastest team with Gentry and Rickert.
And a ground ball weakly hit to second. Goins on to first in time, and that's the inning. Another runner stranded. Justin Smoak will lead off the bottom of the second for the Blue Jays when we come back. Last couple of nights and his credentials to perhaps be a starter in the All-Star game. When you look at all the first basemen in the American League, none has a better OPS than Smoak.
You want power at your first base position. That's what Smokey's given the Blue Jays this year. 957 OPS ahead of Alonzo Morrison and Moreland in the American League. He is also second in average at 301. Third in on base percentage at 367. Not bad for a first baseman. 367. He's second in home runs with 21. He's first switch hitter with 21 home runs prior to the All-Star break since Mark Teixeira did it in 2015.
Last night, to try to vote him in, go to BlueJays.com.
Just doing it all for the Blue Jays, offensively, defensively.
Jimenez will start him with a strike. Home run that Smoak hit last night is 21st, a new career high. He hit 20 with Seattle in 2013. He hit 18 in his first year with the Blue Jays 2 years ago and drove in 59 runs in just 296 at-bats. Now, he only hit 226, but he was extremely productive in terms of power, driving in runs. But there's no way to overlook the fact this is by far, whether it's Texas, Seattle, or the Blue Jays, this is by far the best season that Smoak's had in the big league.
You know, and like we said in the opening, you figure it was in there somewhere. A season like this, a former first-round draft pick.
Let's get an update with Jamie Campbell. Well, if you look at all the contending teams in baseball and try to identify which of those teams has the greatest need in any area, it's the Washington Nationals in the ninth inning. They need a closer desperately. They've got everything else that a team could ask for, but they've had like 7 different pitchers get a save, 6 different pitchers blow a save. They just don't have any answers.
And how many, I don't know the number, I saw it the other day, how many games that they have lost in the ninth inning. Something like 5 or 6 already this year.
And they've got a big lead in the National League East because nobody else is playing well, and they've got Zimmerman and Murphy and Harper and Scherzer and, you know, great talent. As Morales takes strike 3 call, 2 down.
Jimenez, told you he can be crazy wild like he was in his last start, 4 walks in 2 1/3 innings, or he could be spot on. And right now that fastball gets that one by Morales for his 2nd strikeout of the night. 2nd one that the Blue Jays have taken for strike 3. So it looks like his fastball has got some life to it.
And he starts Troy Tulowitzki with a fastball for his strike. Tulo hit a home run Tuesday night in the opening game of the series as he fouls off that breaking ball 0-2. When you see the good Jimenez, you wonder how he gets hit as hard as how he's given up 16 home runs in 65 innings. How does he have an ERA over 7? But you talked about it, the consistency just isn't there.
Home runs in 6 of his 15 starts this year.
Throwing strikes tonight, huh?
It's not too shabby. 15 out of 18 pitches.
Tulo gets jammed, and that's the inning. Blue Jays go in order again. Jimenez has set down the first 6 batters he's faced tonight.
Blue Jays on Sportsnet. Presented by Honda. At the Checkered Flag event, the real victory lap is the drive home.
A rubber match of a 3-game series between the Baltimore Orioles and the Blue Jays. No score. Going to the top of the 3rd, J. Happ and Ubaldo Jimenez. The Red Sox are in town over the weekend, including Canada Day Saturday afternoon, when Chris Sale is expected to make the start for Boston. Ruben Tejada, the shortstop, will lead it off for the Orioles here in the 3rd. The number 9 hitter, J.J. Hardy, still on the DL for Baltimore. It'll be Tejada, Joey Rickard, and Manny Machado. J. Happ ready to roll and misses down and in with ball 1. Tejada spent most of his major league career as a member of the New York Mets. As Happ misses low with that changeup. Tejada breaking into the big leagues back in 2010 with the Mets. Has never really hit a lot. Doesn't have much power at all. He's a .251 career hitter. Just 10 career home runs in 630 games. He's also been with the Cardinals, the Giants. Was at AAA in the Yankees system earlier this year as he hits one hard into left field, down for a base hit in front of Carrera, and the leadoff man aboard for the Orioles here in the 3rd.
Known for his glove. Swung a pretty hot stick right there. Non-roster invitee to the Yankees spring training. He was acquired from New York just a couple of weeks ago. Another cutter into a right-hander, just doesn't get it in far enough to Tejada. And that's the 3rd hit already for Baltimore.
Each of the first two came with 2 outs in an inning. Now they've got the leadoff man on as they turn it back over to the top of the order, and Joey Rickard, who hit a fly ball to right his first time up. Donaldson creeping in just a bit at third. Rickard does show bunt, and he takes a strike. Happ of the Blue Jays getting the benefit of the doubt on that pitch that looked to be outside.
They'll take that. He has the option either sacrifice or bunt for a base hit. It looked like he was bunting for a base hit. If he wants to, he should push it up the first base side.
Did it look like he was going that way?
No, it looked like he was trying to drop it down to third base.
Well, it's probably a moot point right now with 0-2. Buck Showalter looking on from the first base dugout. 8th season at the helm of the Orioles. The Orioles try to stay in contention with the worst starting pitching in baseball, which is an awfully hard thing to do. Meanwhile, though, they can swing the bats. Rickard lines one into the left field corner. Tejada's on his way to third, and he will be held there on a double by Rickard, and the Orioles have 2 men in scoring position with nobody out.
Look, Showalter lining up his lineup, filling it up with right-handed batters, almost daring Jay Happ to get that ball inside, and he has not been able to do it. One more time he tries to go inside and doesn't get it in there far enough, and Rickard, who has made in his short time in the big leagues a career against the Blue Jays. Every time he comes up, it seems like he has big hits against Toronto. As he doubles down into the left field corner, Rickard, .414 batting average in his career against the Blue Jays. It's just his second year in the big leagues.
And now Manny Machado with 2 in scoring position. A little bit outside for ball 1 this early in the game, and with 2 in scoring position, the Blue Jays will play the infield back. They'll concede a run on a ground ball. Some hard hit balls. The hits the Orioles have tonight have all been line drives.
Pulled. The cutter hasn't been able, or that fastball that he's trying to get inside to those righties, he hasn't been able to bury it in there. This is where good RBI men pick up at least one of these runs right here. Stay in the middle of the diamond.
Strike at the knees, 2-1.
What you don't want to do now if you're a hitter is hit a ground ball to the third baseman, a ground ball to the pitcher, or a ground ball to the first baseman. That's not going to score the run.
Tejada the runner at third, average speed. Rickard's at second. Machado chases, upset with himself, and it's 2-2.
The reaction tells it all for Machado. He said, okay, I got you. I knew what that pitch was.
Chases a fastball away, and Happ battles back to strike him out.
Well, when you're throwing the ball inside and it's not working, go back outside, and that works for Jay. Late movement as he gets on top of that one, and it looked like it actually went away from Machado to pick up his second strikeout, and that's a big one. Machado cannot advance the runners, can't get the run in.
So Happ gets the first out. Blue Jays again will play the infield back as Jonathan Scope steps in. Scope with a base hit his first time up. The Orioles as a team the best in the American League with the runners in scoring position this year. Blocked there by Martin. The Orioles as a team hitting .297 with runners in scoring position on the season, and Jonathan Scope's a big part of that. He's at .375.
10 points higher than the Astros, who are second at .287. You got first base open. Jay Happ can throw ground balls. Don't give in.
The 2-0. High fly ball left center field. It's playable. Herrera backpedaling. Both runners will tag. Throw comes in towards third, but not in time. The sac fly scores Tejada. Rickard to third on the play. 2 down as the Orioles have the lead.
Trying to get a pop up, and he just didn't get it up high enough 2-0, you want to get that fastball up around the letters so the swing, they pop the ball up, keeps it in the infield, doesn't get it up high enough. Jonathan Scope scores the first run with a long sacrifice fly. He has hit well against the Blue Jays this year.
That's his 49th RBI on the season. Big numbers for a second baseman. Baltimore leads 1-0, and here's cleanup hitter Adam Jones, who grounded out his first time up. Jones peeking down towards third right now.
That was interesting,
yeah.
Wasn't it?
And he's thinking about it. Yeah, that's what he was doing, seeing where Donaldson was and thinking about bunting for a base hit.
If you're successful, it's a hit and an RBI. Normally, you don't face too many left-handed pitchers, so right-handed batters, they don't like to give themselves up and bunt for a hit.
And Donaldson will play back again. He saw what Jones did, and he's going to stay back. And Jones shows no sign of bunt here this time as he takes down a low ball 2. .94 on that fastball from Happ.
With life. Threw that ball right by him.
Trying to minimize the damage. The Orioles had second and third, nobody out, and 2, 3, 4 coming up. They've gotten 1 run on the sac fly. Happ trying to keep it at just 1 run here in the third. Popped up, foul territory. Smoak over for a look, but it will be in about the 4th row. And the count now 2-2. Jones taking his time getting back into the box. Long-time member of the Orioles, one of their leaders, veterans. Seen some good times, seen some bad times.
The leader of the Orioles. Yeah. He is the leader. He leads by example.
2-2. Jammed him. Popped up. Tulowitzki. Inning over. Happ allows 1, but that's it. 1-0 Baltimore going to the bottom of the 3rd.
Chairs in the TD Comfort Zone are guests from one of TD's community partners. Welcome, everybody. And the world's most prestigious cycling event, the Tour de France, returns this Saturday live on Sportsnet 1 and Sportsnet Now. Dan.
Hey, so thank you. We go bottom 3 at Rogers Center. The Blue Jays trailing the Orioles 1-0. Bottom 3rd of the lineup. Ezekiel Carrera, Kevin Pillar, and Ryan Goins against Ubaldo Jimenez, who's retired all 6 batters he's faced. And other than one pitch that Tabby somehow predicted was going to happen at the moment it happened, Jimenez has been locked in tonight.
I looked into the future and I saw what he was going to do.
Yeah. I'm all good if you go buy a lottery ticket or a 50-50 ticket right now or something. I mean,
I'm good with that.
Keep that streak going.
We can do that. Jimenez looks like he's hitting on his fastball. And that's the key for him, being able to throw that for a strike.
Hit sharply, but right at scope. Carrera retired one down.
He had some really interesting comments after his last start as we take a look at what he will feature. He's got a little bit of everything. Fastball, slider, splitter, curveball, changeup, cutter. Maybe he needs to cut some of those down and concentrate on just 3 of those and throw them for strikes. But he was saying it's been tough coming to the ballpark and struggling, but I need to keep being positive and fighting every day. This is a guy who's had some success in the big leagues, and he's been around a long time.
And Pilar hits it sharply, but right at scope. 2 down. Jimenez started the All-Star game for the National League in 2010 as a member of Colorado. Started the year 14-1. Was 14-1 of the All-Star break. Threw a no-hitter that year against Atlanta. Did walk 6 in the game through 128 pitches, but did throw a no-hitter. He had a good year with Cleveland in 2013, but the last 5 or 6 years there have been more valleys than peaks.
With that little phrase, I think you said it too fast that the people didn't catch you. With Colorado.
Right.
14-1 with Colorado. Remember where he was pitching in Coors Field. That is not your basic pitcher's paradise to be throwing in.
Ryan Goins.
So the stuff is there. It's just been very inconsistent.
Darwin Barney in there the last couple of nights at second base. Goins getting the start tonight, hitting .214, 4 homers on the season. Drives the ball hard the other way, and it's going to carry off the wall on a bounce. And Goins, who at times this year has shown good power to the opposite field, has himself a double.
Yeah, at one point of this season, maybe a month ago or so, he had the 2 longest home runs the Blue Jays had hit at that time. We're seeing it more and more that the outfielders think that Ryan Goins is a punch and Judy hitter, and they're playing shallow in left field or they're playing shallow in center field, and he's making them pay, burning them with balls over their heads. Joey Rickard, who's got some speed in the outfield, has no chance on this one as Goins picks up extra bases, driving the ball over his head.
First base runner of the night for the Blue Jays. It comes with 2 down in the 3rd, and it brings up Jose Bautista, who was called out on strikes in the 1st.
Jose got the Blue Jays off on a good note yesterday with their first leadoff home run of the season.
To center field. Jones coming on, makes the catch. Just carried a bit too far off the bat of Bautista to drop in and score a run. 1-0 Baltimore at the end of 3.
Thanks to your efforts, Canada, the bringer of rain is closing in on the lead for third base at the All-Star game. Voting ends tonight at midnight, so head over to BlueJays.com/vote to continue to vote Smoak and bringer of rain. And Dan, Josh Donaldson in third place. He's got a shot at first right now.
Behind Miguel Sano and Jose Ramirez. Sano of the Twins, Ramirez of the Indians. Smoak with a great case to be the starter at first base. A two-hopper to short off the bat of Mark Trumbo. Tulowitzki makes the play, one down. Now Donaldson did say before the game, you know, look at my numbers. He knows he missed a month and not having an all-star caliber season as he has the last couple of years, and facing some pretty stiff competition. Sano can really hit. And Jose Ramirez, one of the more underrated players in baseball.
Yeah, you look at Jose Ramirez's numbers, and that might be the guy who should start. Josh, he just missed too much time. Over 30-plus games he's missed this season, and so he hasn't been able to put the numbers up. Jose Ramirez, on the other hand, he and Sano, that's legit. They're 1 and 2 in the voting.
Trey Mancini, the batter, struck out his first time up. Another play for Tulowitzki. Backhands, fires, gets him.
Tulowitzki has different arm slots that he can throw from, all of them very effective. We've seen it a number of times, him running in and flipping the ball over there, but when he's got time and he sets himself, still has a strong arm across the diamond.
So quickly 2 down here in the top of the fourth. Orioles up 1-0. And here's Caleb Joseph, the catcher, who doubled his first time up. The report we got on Wellington Castillo, who was to have been the starting catcher for the Orioles, scratched just before game time, a sprained left knee. So Joseph filling in for him. A play for Goins. And how about that? 3 up, 3 down. That's a 5-pitch inning for Jay Happ. Blue Jays coming up, bottom of the fourth.
Returns with fast-paced pick-up-and-play MLB action, packed with all your favorite MLB teams, players, ballparks, and much more. Get RBI Baseball today for Xbox One, PlayStation 4, and mobile devices. Learn more at RBIGame.com.
Bottom of the fourth inning at Rogers Center. Dan Shulman to Pat Tabler, Hazel May. A 1-0 lead for the Orioles. Russell Martin, Josh Donaldson, Justin Smoak against Ubaldo Jimenez. And a curveball for a strike. First one we've seen tonight.
Doesn't throw too many of them, but he drops that one in for strike one.
Check swing bouncer back to the mound. Martin frustrated as he's thrown out. Jimenez has allowed just one hit tonight, a double to Ryan Goins with 2 down in the third. The second time he's gotten Martin tonight. It's the last thing you think about seeing is back-to-back curveballs going up there against Jimenez.
Yeah, breaking balls like that, and he's throwing them for strikes. I thought the Blue Jays might, first time through, work him over a little bit and see if you can get his pitch count up and get him overthrowing a little bit. But he's stayed calm, stayed compact. He hasn't overthrown any pitch tonight. And he has jumped ahead of the Blue Jays. 29 pitches, 24 strikes.
Crazy. 29 pitches with 1 out in the 4th inning. Here's Donaldson.
There's another one. Look how he is staying over the rubber very calmly. He's not rushing towards the plate. He's got that unusual arm swing that he has where he locks the ball behind his back, hooks it behind his back, and then brings it home. Everything has to be on timing, and when he gets messed up, that timing, his lower half goes a little bit too soon and his arm can't catch up, or vice versa. Tonight everything seems to be on time, at least here in the first few innings. It's a very unusual windup. It's something that has worked for Jimenez. Watch out as he gets ready to throw and he locks that ball behind his back, hooks it behind his back. Actually, hitters can see what he's throwing. You can see the grip momentarily.
Bouncer out to second for out number 2. Like you assume that as a 10, 11, 12-year-old when he started playing baseball competitively, whatever that was, that he probably threw like that. I mean, your throwing motion is your throwing motion, but you wonder if anybody when he was a kid looked at that and said, no, we got to change that.
They've tried to do that here
at the major league level.
Level when he was going through some of his times, and Ramon Martinez, who is here as one of their pitching coordinators, say, look, that's the way you throw. Let's just work on getting the ball out of your glove just a little bit quicker, and then maybe that'll help timing. He's always going to have that long arm swing. So figure out something that works. Tonight, it's working.
2 starts ago, had a good game against the Cardinals, 7 innings, 2 runs. Last start against Tampa Bay, 2 1/3, 9 runs. And now tonight he's at the top of his game.
He had a couple of games against the Blue Jays the last couple of seasons. I remember one in particular in Baltimore where he was just dialing it in, just could not miss on the corners, and it seemed like every time the Blue Jays came up to the plate it was 0-2.
His pace is good tonight too, usually a sign that a pitcher's got a lot of confidence, ready to catch the ball and fire right away. Inside corner, Smoak not sure, but it's a called strike. 2-2. Martin retired to begin this inning. Pilar looking on as well. Foul territory, third base side, and into the first row. Nice grab. Glove came in handy. That's the kind of foul ball you want if you're sitting in the seats.
Those easy ones.
A can of corn.
Jimenez waiting for Manny Machado to get back to his position. Manny's the only infielder on the left side of the infield, ran all the way to the wall to try and catch that one.
2-2 again. Took something off and Smoak gets a piece.
That might have been the splitter right there. One of the problems that Smoak has had in the past is he's been swinging at that pitch in the dirt. He's been laying off of it this year. In the opening we were talking about his strikeout percentage is way down.
There it is again. And that's the inning. 3 ground ball outs in the bottom of the 4th. 1-0 Baltimore at the end of 4. Time now for an update. Here are Jamie Campbell and Greg Zahn in the Samsung broadcast studio. Events in a baseball showcasing young talent is the MLB Futures Game. Each organization is represented by a player or two. Some of the great young prospects in all of baseball, and the Blue Jays organization will be represented by Bo Bichette and Vladimir Guerrero Jr. And Bo Bichette is hitting .402 this year in Lansing. He had 3 hits last night, including a double and a homer. Looks like he's 14 years of age, but he swings the bat like his dad. Wouldn't the Blue Jays be happy if both of those guys swung the bats like their dads going forward?
I think they're going to. I mean, everywhere they have gone in their very young minor league career, they've hit. Bo Bichette's average over his 2 years in the minor leagues, over 400.
408. Bo Bichette this year in 62 games in Lansing has 102 hits. He's hitting .402. But wait, in the 62, it's not like he's a singles hitter. He's got 8 homers, 3 triples. He's got 30 doubles in 62 games, an OPS of 1100. He has stolen 11 bases, been caught 3 times.
Playing shortstop for Lansing.
At just 19 years of age. He was in the Gulf Coast League last year. Lansing this year. Don't know if the Blue Jays plan on leaving him there all year. Maybe he goes to High A, Dunedin.
No.
We'll say they're going to leave him right where he is.
Just leave he and Vladimir Guerrero. This is their first year of playing a full minor league schedule. 5 months, straight months of playing baseball. So just leave him there. One's 18, one is 19.
Correct.
So just leave him there.
Yep.
So that's great that they're both into the All-Star Futures game. Started in 1999, a team of minor league baseball prospects from the United States and a team of prospects from the, I think
Around
they call it the world.
Yeah, USA against the world kind of thing. So Bichette will be on one team, Guerrero on the other. Here's a ground ball. Donaldson ranging to his left, and it makes the play to get Gentry one down.
Super Slow-Mo Cam. Brought to you by the Samsung QLED, the next innovation in TV.
The Orioles 1 and the Blue Jays nothing as Baltimore bats in the top of the 5th against Happ. The run coming in on a sac fly off the bat of Jonathan Smoak back in the 3rd. And a fly ball to center field. Pilar going back underneath it, makes the catch. Tejada retired, 2 down. Beauty Tone, Canada's color experts, available exclusively at Home Hardware and Building Center locations. Meanwhile, Vladimir Guerrero Jr. also at Lansing, and as you mentioned, Tabby, he's just 18 years of age and only turned 18 in March. I mean, was barely 18 when the season began. He's hitting .309. He's got 5 homers, 19 doubles. This is in 64 games. And he'll take a walk. In half a season, he's walked 33 times. Different than his dad. His dad swung at everything, but man, his dad hit everything. So Blue Jays have a couple of really bright young talents in their system right now.
Both of them just turned 18 and 19 in the month of March this year. And 19 years old or 18 playing in a full season and putting up those kind of numbers, it's incredible. It takes time to figure out the game. Those guys, I don't think it's going to be long before they make the way here to Toronto.
Guerrero playing third base, Bichette mostly short, some second.
3 and 4 in the lineup. How'd you like to face those guys 3 and 4 every night in A ball?
I wonder how many folks from southwestern Ontario are going across the border, going to Lansing and seeing the Lugnuts play because of what they're hearing is going on there with those two kids. 3-1 the count on Joey Rickard. And ball 4 outside. That is the first walk given up by Happ tonight.
Well, you mentioned it, that the walks few and far between from Happ. He's got one of the highest strikeout to walk ratios this season, minimum of 40 innings, 7-1. Remember Happ from about 3 or 4 years ago? Couldn't find the strike zone, threw a lot of pitches, regularly would throw 100 pitches in 5 or 6 innings. Now it's let's get it, let's go, let's attack that strike zone, make quality pitches. He's now striking out 7 batters for every walk he has.
And a ground ball to short. Tulowitzki will make the play on to Goins to force the runner at second and end the inning. No runs, no hits, a man left to the bottom of the 5th. Blue Jays coming up down 1-0.
On Canada Day, Hockey Central signing season brings you the news and breaks down all the NHL free agent moves. Get it first on Sportsnet, just 1 hour ahead of the official opening of this year's free agency period, 11 a.m. Eastern, 8 a.m. Pacific time. Dan.
Hazel, thank you. Looking forward to that, and also the Canada Day game here at Rogers Center between the Red Sox and Blue Jays. Middle game of a 3-game series over the weekend. Kendrys Morales leads off the 5th. And looks at a strike from Ubaldo Jimenez. 1-0 Baltimore. The Blue Jays with just 1 hit through the first 4 innings. A double off the bat of Ryan Goins with 2 down in the 3rd. Morales called out on strikes his first time up. And quickly in the hole, 0-2. You see that Corey Kluber had another big time effort today, Tabby, for the Indians. 8 innings, 3 hits, 1 run, struck out 12 today. He's pitching as well as anybody right now. His good is really good.
I think I saw that's 4 straight games of double-digit strikeouts for Corey Kluber, tying Bob Feller's team record.
And Morales strikes out for the 2nd time. Yeah, you're right. 4 consecutive games with double-digit strikeouts. Feller did it his last 3 starts in 1938 and his first start in 1939. You tie anything Bob Feller did, you're in pretty good company.
Right. There's the split from Jimenez. He's using his fastball to get ahead. He's finished off a couple of batters with that splitter. Matter's hitting just .226 against that splitter this year. Morales trying to figure it out. Yeah, anytime your name is mentioned with somebody like Bob Feller, you're doing something pretty special. Kluber's had a good month. He's undefeated.
63 strikeouts in June in 43 innings, something like that. Sounds like American League Pitcher of the Month.
Of the month, right.
Yeah. Bob Feller broke into the big leagues as a 17-year-old in 1936.
36.
Yeah.
Oh, I know
That's
all
incredible.
about Bob Feller from playing in Cleveland.
Do you know 1 year he threw 371 innings? 371. Now, different game, a lot of things different. He went 26-15, started 42 games, completed 36 of them, had 10 shutouts, and also made 6 relief appearances, you know, just to stay fresh between starts.
Well, that's nothing. He would come to fantasy camp as Tulowitzki draws the walk. He would come to fantasy camp and pitched to an inning to the Campers.
Okay, what year is this?
Oh, maybe 10 years ago. So he was 90, close to 90 years old.
And he was pitching in his 80s?
From 60 feet 6 inches.
Wow.
He wasn't throwing it from the grass or anything like that. Full windup. And he would get fired up. He's like, all right, we got to get these guys right here.
He had some fire in him.
He did.
Tulowitzki draws the walk. 1 on, 1 out, 1-0 Baltimore, bottom of the 5th. And Carrera looks at a strike. Carrera grounded out his first time up. Still 4 for 8 now in his career against Ubaldo Jimenez. Machado well off the line at third and even with a bag. Middle infielders pinching in a little bit. Double play depth, maybe even a little bit closer than that.
Yeah, they're in for double play, but they're also in because Carrera can drop down a bunt. Yeah, and the Orioles know that, and they want to take that away from Carrera.
2 balls and a strike.
Well, maybe the key is to get Jimenez into the stretch. Maybe that'll throw off his timing just a little bit.
.52 pitches, 37 of them strikes as the Blue Jays bat with 1 out here in the bottom of the 5th.
Hard to do anything offensively against Jimenez when you're down by a run. Can't really start the runner at first base. You really can't play hit and run because you don't know where the ball's going to go.
Ground ball to first. They'll force Tulowitzki back to first. Not in time. Errant throw, but it bounces back out towards fair territory. So Carrera aboard on a fielder's choice. Now 2 down.
Still think that is the toughest double play to turn. The 3-6-1. First baseman, shortstop, pitcher. You don't want that pitcher involved, but Mancini is too far off of the bag to get back. Jimenez at 6'5" can't reach up there high enough. You know, we were always taught in minor leagues, hey, if you can avoid the pitcher being involved in the play, he's got enough to deal with on his plate pitching. He doesn't have to field the baseball, get back there as quick as possible, but Mancini couldn't get there. The inning is still alive.
So 2 down. Here's Kevin Pillar, grounded out his first time up. We were talking a little bit earlier about the Washington Nationals and some of the issues that they're having. They got another problem. Just got an alert that shortstop Trey Turner, one of the great young talents in the game, was hit by a pitch today in the game against the Cubs and has a fractured right wrist. That is a huge loss for the Nationals. There goes the runner, and safe at second on a stolen base is Ezequiel Carrera.
Blue Jays trying to make something happen. Being down a run, they got the right guy at first base in Carrera. He's 3 for 4 in stolen bases, so he takes off with that long windup from Jimenez. It takes him a long time to unload the baseball. Perfect time to go. Carrera makes it easily as Scope drops the ball, just squirts out of his glove. Now Blue Jays have their second runner in scoring position.
For the Blue Jays as a team, that is their 30th stolen base on the season. As Castillo, the catcher, out with a sprained knee, looks on. Joseph, a late replacement for him. The Blue Jays are 11th in the American League in steals with 30. Base hit now could tie it. Pillar, one of a number of Blue Jays struggling with runners in scoring position. You saw Kevin's numbers. It's been a team-wide situation in most of the year. Fights it off, out of play.
Anxious to drive this run in right now. Jimenez doesn't have to throw a strike. Being ahead 1-2.
chased a ball in the dirt to strike out and end the inning. 5 shutout innings for Jimenez. Baltimore still up 1-0.
Accuracy of his throws to first base. According to infield coach Luis Rivera, the book on Donaldson when he was with Oakland was he made much more throwing errors than fielding errors. So over the last couple of springs, Donaldson has been working hard on this. He wouldn't just throw to first, Rivera tells me. He would throw to first with purpose. Rivera also said that Troy Tulowitzki has always maintained that if you can cut your throwing errors down in half, you could end up with just 10 to 12 errors a season, which in Rivera's opinion, Dan, is a sign of an above-average defender for third base.
Tricky position. A lot of different things going on for the modern-day third baseman. You got to charge and field bunts. You got to play sometimes the shortstop position in the shift. Sometimes you go over play the second base position during the shift.
You have to have quick feet,
yeah,
and you have to have soft hands. And Josh has all of that. You're right. The throwing errors in the past has been a problem. We haven't seen that this year.
1-0 Orioles, top 6. Jonathan Scope leads it off. 3-4-5. Scope, Jones, and Trumbo for the Orioles. The only run of the night coming back in the third, and it was driven in by Scope on a sac fly. He also had a base hit back in the first, so he's had a very productive night. If the Blue Jays could win this game, they'll move into a tie for 4th place with the Orioles in the American League East. And within the division, that's the high water mark for the Blue Jays this year. They've been tied for 4th on a number of occasions. They have never been on their own in 4th. They've been in 5th most of the year. Been tied for 4th for 10 days this year. Seems like they've always been just a game behind 4th, 2 games behind 4th. A game 2 or 3 under the 500 mark. They kind of been.
They get there,
yep,
and then they fall back, yep, just a little bit. Gibby was saying yesterday, he says, we got to get it on the roll. I got to send my best team out there. We got to start playing some good baseball and start putting a winning streak together.
Scope having himself a good night. Scope heading to second. Throw. Tag. Got him. Carrera guns him down at second.
I don't know if Jonathan got a talking to when he came back in after that first inning. Remember, he singled off the top of the wall in the first inning. Should have been a double. This time he's thinking of turning a single into a double. Tries out Carrera, but he's going to be thrown out. Wonder if he's thinking about the throw in from Carrera last time. That was a one hopper. Looked like Carrera was conceding the double. This time he's cutting that ball off and trying to get him at second base, and succeeds.
Close play. Goins getting the tag on the chest of Scope. Wow, and the Orioles decided not to have a look at that, and now it's too late, but you wonder if maybe they should have had a look at that. But usually what you see is the runner will say, hey, he'll point to the dugout and say, you guys should have a look. But unless he scraped him on the left arm or something, that left hand of Scope looks like it might have beaten the tag, but the Blue Jays will take it.
Doesn't matter now. Good play by Carrera to get over there and get that outfield assist. That could have been dangerous to start this inning with the leadoff double.
And another base hit, this time by Adam Jones. Sixth hit of the night for the Orioles off J. Happ. And an even bigger play now to get Schoop at second base after that single by Jones.
Yeah, that's a run right there. That play by Carrera, hustling over there, cutting the ball off, and then making a good strong throw to pick up the outfield assist. That has saved J. Happ a run.
Mark Trumbo 0 for 2, couple of ground balls to short. Just off the outside corner for ball one, says Chad Whitson, the home plate umpire. Trumbo is a good double play candidate, hits the ball hard. Right-handed batter does not run well. If you can keep him on the ground, you got a shot. Pretty big hole on the right side right now with Jones being held on and Goen shading Trumbo up the middle. In the air to right field, towering fly ball. Bautista back, makes the catch right in front of the fence.
Last night the roof was open and the wind was blowing out the right field. That might have been a home run. Tonight it's closed, and that gave Bautista a chance to get back to the wall. Jose's played this field more than anybody. He knows where that fence is, puts that right hand out there to let him know where it is. Right there's the fence, there's the baseball. He hauls it in right in front of the bullpen.
So 2 down now for Trey Mancini, 0 for 2. One run on 6 hits for the Orioles, no runs on just 1 hit for the Blue Jays. Baltimore batting in the 6th, rubber match of this 3-game series.
Outfielders are playing a little bit deeper, and that's right. You want to cut off any ball right here.
Gets away from Martin. Jones will take second.
Well, that'll negate that now. You don't want a double to score that run from first base, but with that ball in the dirt, Martin can't come up with it. Adam Jones gets into scoring position. Couldn't get over and block that one. Tried to smother it with his glove.
And Jones into scoring position with 2 down. The count in Mancini's favor, 2-0. Could have the green light here. Hot hitter. Done a great job this year with the runners in scoring position, as you can see. Caleb Joseph, the catcher's on deck. Ball 4. Let's get an update with Jamie. The Red Sox, the next team in here to Rogers Center. They begin a 3-game series with the Blue Jays tomorrow night. So that means no David Price in this series. Doug Fister is scheduled to start, make a second start for the Red Sox tomorrow night against Marco Estrada. Saturday afternoon, Canada Day, Chris Sale and Francisco Liriano. And then Sunday, Drew Pomerantz and Joe Biagini. Red Sox enter play tonight in a tie with the Yankees atop the American League East. Tampa Bay's 3 back, Baltimore 4.5, the Blue Jays 5.5.
Everybody in the American League East, at least over the last 10 games, have been playing 500 or less. No one has been able to grab the division and just start to take control of it.
Yep.
I think that's how it's going to be all summer long.
And you can say the same about the Central, really. Nobody's breaking away. The Indians a half game up on Minnesota. Kansas City just 2.5 back entering play today. Here's a line drive, going to drop in right center for a base hit. This will produce a run. Jones in to score. Mancini around to third on the RBI single by Joseph, and it's 2-0 Baltimore.
Wasn't even in the starting lineup. just minutes before tonight's first pitch, Caleb Joseph has a multi-hit game and an RBI to show for it. Doubled his first time up, grounded sharply to second base his second time up. Cutter, they were trying to backdoor this cutter, and Joseph drives in his 14th run of the season. Stays right with that ball, doesn't try and pull it, shoots it into right field. You're seeing why the Baltimore Orioles are #1 hitting with runners in scoring position. Yeah, they hit a lot of home runs, but they have good at bats with guys on base. He didn't try and pull that ball, just went with it. Mark Trumbo did the same thing. Pitch away from him, went the other way.
And the Orioles now leading 2-0.
As a team, right around 300 with runners in scoring position.
Craig Gentry, the batter. Gentry, a couple of ground outs tonight. Blue Jays have the bullpen going now in the 6th inning. Chris Smith, who made his major league debut a couple of nights ago with a shutout inning.
Starting to get loose. It's been a long inning for Jay Happ and the Blue Jays. He's given up 3 hits and a walk to the 5 batters that he has faced so far this inning. Pitch count up into the 80s now.
Yeah, this one could be a lot worse had Scope not been thrown out by Carrera at second base to start the inning.
2 down, make a pitch here. Blue Jays have had problems scoring runs whenever Jay Happ's been on the mound. So you just keep doing your thing, try to limit the damage. First inning, or excuse me, the 3rd inning could have been a whole lot worse than just 1 run scored.
1-2. Martin wanted the fastball up, but it sailed outside as well, and Gentry wouldn't chase. First and third, 2 down, and a run in already this inning for the Orioles. They lead 2-0. And the 2-2, swinging a ground ball to short. Tulowitzki across the diamond to end the inning. The Orioles add on a run, now lead 2-0. Blue Jays coming up bottom of the 6th. 6th inning here in the final game of this series with the Orioles. Just one lonely base hit for the Blue Jays through 5. A double by Ryan Goins with 2 down in the 3rd, and it is Ryan Goins leading off the 6th inning. Said earlier in the year, a guy who knows he's not going to play every day unless somebody is hurt, and then he did for a while when Tulowitzki was out, but he can play 4 times a week. He can play once a week, and he said, you know what, I'm going to make the most of my opportunities, and he goes up there with a little more aggression, I think, this year than he has in the past. He's up there to try to do some damage.
Yeah, it changed a little bit in his stroke. Last year he had the bat on his shoulder and he just hit a lot of balls the other way. Now he's got it out in front of him and he's freed up his bat and his arms to try to juice balls. The knock on him was he just didn't have a lot of power, and his pitchers would knock the bat out of his hand. Not so this year. 9 doubles and 4 home runs in 169 at bats.
Gets under this one and pops it up for Mancini. 1 down.
The Honda Checkered Flag event is back. It's a great time to give your pulse a racing lesson.
Blue Jays and Orioles here in downtown Toronto. Blue Jays batting in the bottom of the 6th, trailing 2-0. Jose Bautista 0 for 2. Lays off, takes a strike on the breaking ball. 1-1.
I've been impressed with Jimenez's ability early in the count to throw breaking ball for strike.
No pattern really for him tonight.
No, but he's throwing that breaking ball early for strikes, and then he's expanding the strike zone as he gets ahead. He's been getting ahead all night long against the Jays.
So 3 breaking balls to Bautista, then a fastball that Jose has to fight off to stay alive with a count 1-2.
He doesn't have to overthrow to keep it in the strike zone. I think that's where he's had his problems, where he overthrows, tries to throw the ball too hard. He's been 82 with his breaking ball up to 92, 93 miles an hour. It's where he's been throwing it that's been impressive.
And there's a changeup to get Bautista, who only saw 1 fastball in the at-bat and strikes out for the 2nd time tonight.
5th strikeout of the night for Jimenez. The split change, you can see the rotation. The super slow-mo replay is powered by the Samsung QLED, the next innovation in TV. From that super slow-mo, you can see that rotation is nasty for the hitters to try and pick up.
You can imagine Orioles fans back in Baltimore watching this game on their telecast and sitting in front of their TV saying, why can't he do this all the time?
How about Dan Duquette saying that, the general manager at Baltimore?
Russell Martin 0 for 2, couple of groundouts. Line drive hit hard to center, but room for Jones to make the play and end the inning. End of 6. Orioles 2, Blue Jays nothing. Contest is on now. Enter for your chance to cheer on the Blue Jays in New York City with WestJet. Go to BlueJays.com/WestJet contest to enter. Now time for the schedule ahead, brought to you by WestJet. And Tabby, what we learned right here is if the Blue Jays are going to make a move between now and the All-Star break, they're going to have to do it against some really good teams.
Yeah, here it is right here. After the series that ends tonight, it's the Red Sox into town, and then 3 big games against the Yankees, and then 4 here at home against Houston right before the All-Star break. And the Yankees, they're making rumblings that they might be making some noise about trying to pick up some players. Did you see what Miguel Andujar did for the Yankees last night? The rookie became the first player in Yankees history with 4 RBIs in his first major league game. First Yankee. Think about that.
And what was his reward?
Thank you very much. They sent him down today. They sent him down to the minor leagues today and brought up Dustin Fowler. So I guess becoming the first Yankee ever to drive in 4 runs in your first major league game just wasn't good enough, huh?
Well, they've got some good young talent, and a lot has been made of their farm system and the trades they made and the players they brought in, but a lot of kids they have are homegrown and maybe don't have quite the same hype. I mean, it starts with Aaron Judge and Gary Sanchez. Those are 2 building blocks for the future. And it's Dominic Leone now up in the bullpen for the Blue Jays as Happ is back on the mound to begin the 7th.
They might be looking for a first baseman, the Yankees.
Yeah.
Says Chris Carter's back with the Yankees. I think Austin went on the DL today.
And again, they might be a little bit ahead of schedule. To be contending in 2017 to the degree that they are, the thinking was, hey, try to hold your own, tread water, rebuild the system, get rid of some of the big bloated contracts, build up for the free agent class in a couple of years.
Get under the luxury tax.
Yeah.
Right?
Well, they're doing pretty well right now. You know, a lot of talk now. Kansas City's playing better lately, but a lot of talk that maybe the Yankees and Eric Hosmer are a fit. 3-1 to Ruben Tejada, hit in the air to deep right center field. Pilar racing back at the wall. He got it. Pilar crashing into the fence makes the catch. How many times have we seen him make plays like that?
Such a determined effort by Pilar. As he was racing over for that ball, you could just see his thought process. I am not going to let this ball fall. He is shading Tejada to right field. And folks, you're not going to see a better catch by a center fielder.
Wow. There are a lot of really good outfielders who would give ground a little bit at the last moment before running full speed into the wall. They'd short arm it a little bit maybe. Look at Jay Happ. Everybody had the same reaction. He ran full speed right into the fence.
He gives up his body.
Yep.
And will make that catch. He knows he can take that pounding. What a catch. Add that to the highlight reel.
And the part of the fence that he hit is not padded. It's where the scoreboard is. There's not a lot of give at all out there. Not bad for a 32nd round pick who started off his big league career as a left fielder.
He was shading him that way. Remember, Tejada doesn't have a lot of power, so he was playing shallow. Knows he's going to take a licking against that scoreboard.
Man. Liner into left field, a base hit for Rickard. And John Gibbons is already up to the top step and on his way out towards the field. Has not made the signal yet, but you'd imagine it's coming, and there it is. He wants Leone. So Happ gets into the 7th. Some hard hit balls scattered the hits around, but only gives up the 2 runs. He's responsible for Rickard as he continues to make his way back, hopefully where he was last year. Pretty good outing for Happ tonight. Nice ovation from the crowd. And Dominic Leone in to face Manny Machado when we come back. Teammates of the plays that he makes out in center field during a pitching change. Ezekiel Carrera taking the opportunity to come over and give Superman a hug.
Well-deserved hug right there. That's the only out of the inning, so Dominic Leone will come in for the 30th time. He's been on a nice little roll himself. They've only had a $151 against him over his last 12 games. His fastball has been popping. It's been crisp, mid-90s, and he's been breaking off some nice breaking balls. He just pitched 2 days ago against these Orioles.
Yep.
An inning and 2/3. Zip. No hits, no runs.
Through 27 pitches on Tuesday night. You know, you look at the Blue Jays bullpen, there's been a lot of talk about having to restore the depth in the organization and build it up and so forth. But when you look at what the Blue Jays have gotten, and that's true. That's true in many regards. But you look at what the Blue Jays have gotten from Ryan Tepera, Danny Barnes, and Dominic Leone in the bullpen. I think they've gotten more out of all three than maybe they expected to get going into the season.
Yeah, heading to spring training, there were question marks with all of those guys. Where are they going to fit? Some of them were out of options, and they made the team, and now they have grown into legitimate big leaguers out of that bullpen. I'm telling you, Dominic Leone has been throwing the heck out of the ball.
95 there.
With ease, too. He's over on that third base part of the rubber, so he's got a little bit of crossfire to him as the ball comes to the plate. It's a tough angle for right-handed batters to pick the ball up.
Machado tonight is 0 for 3. Jay Happ looking on from the dugout. 6 1/3, 8 hits, walked 2. Struck out only 2, responsible for the runner at first. Strike 3 called, and Machado knew it.
We saw the stats for Leone when we brought him in, averaging 10 strikeouts for every 9 innings, just over a strikeout an inning. He caught Manny Machado looking for the breaking ball. Fires that thing in right there. He's also done a good job of stranding runners. 27 runners he has inherited. Only 6 of them have scored this year. Trying to strand a big one over there in this inning.
Big swing there by Jonathan Scope, looking to do some damage. A base hit in the first, thrown out. Then a sac fly in the third, and a base hit in the 6th, and that's when he was thrown out trying to stretch it into a double. In the first, he hit one off the left field wall and went halfway and then came back to first. Didn't even get to second on the play. So officially 2 for 2 with an RBI. With a couple of interesting situations on the base paths for Scope tonight. Started the night at 293. Couple of hits have him up to 299. The 1-1 to left field, charging Carrera makes the catch. Maybe not quite Superman, but a very nice play made by Ezequiel Carrera to end the inning. But it's the play made by Pilar that will dominate what we remember about the inning.
There's smoke, there's rain. Thanks again for your efforts, Canada. The bringer of rain is closing in on the lead for third base. Now we are roughly 3 hours away until the end of voting tonight at midnight. So head over to bluejays.com/vote to continue to smoke the vote and bring the rain. Dan.
All right, Hazel, thank you. We go to the bottom of the 7th. We'll see some great Blue Jay defense in the top half of the inning. Can ignite the offense here in the bottom half of the inning, and it is Josh Donaldson leading it off. Kevin Pillar with another sensational catch, wowing his teammates and fans alike here at Rogers Center. One of the more remarkable things about it, Tabby, is with all the crashing into fences and diving headlong, he doesn't really get hurt very often on those. I mean, I'm sure he's got a couple of bruises. He'll be sore tomorrow morning.
Yeah, bumps and bruises, but he's a gamer.
Yep.
Plays every day, plays hard every day, plays every inning when he's out there.
He's telling Ryan Goins about it right now.
I think this is a big inning for Ubaldo Jimenez and the Baltimore Orioles. They've got one of the best bullpens and they're well rested. But if they can get through this inning, it'll really set them up for the last couple of innings. The flip side of that for the Blue Jays, if they can get to them here and get into that bullpen this inning, could be big.
And Chopper back to the mound, and an easy play for Jimenez to get Donaldson for the first out.
The way this guy's throwing, though, they might not need the bullpen. He's only at 75 pitches.
Through 6 1/3, has allowed only 1 hit, has walked 1, has struck out 5. Buck Showalter probably a little bit more pleased on the inside than his facial expression suggests on the outside, but that's kind of Buck's. That's his look. Right? That's his in-game look. Justin Smoak, the batter. He's 0 for 2, couple of groundouts. Shift on again. Hooked down the right field line, but foul. Smoak, not a guy who really seeks out attention, to say the least, and I'm sure on the inside he's awfully proud of the first half he's had and the prospects of playing in the All-Star game. He almost has a sheepish look on his face as his teammates are wearing the Smoak the Boat t-shirts out during batting practice.
You just don't want to get too high. You don't want to put a lot of the spotlight on you, if you will, and the pitchers might start doing something different. He said the other day, he said, you know, it's not how you start, it's how you finish. And, you know, he would like to finish strong too. Baseball, a game of two halves. He's got a good first half. There's still a lot of baseball to go.
Former first-round pick. You know, then you got a guy like Donaldson, and you could call him a late bloomer, right? A swing and a miss by Smoak. 4 out, number 2.
Hit a home run with any project this season. Home Hardware, proud sponsor of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Canada's 150th birthday, just a couple of days away. And downtown will be alive. Rogers Center will be a sea of red on Saturday when the Red Sox are here. Well, Kendrys Morales, I think he was going to swing at that pitch no matter where it was or what it was. He was in swing mode on that first one, wasn't he?
So Jimenez does the right thing, takes a little something off. Pitchers have been showing Kendrys a lot of slow stuff.
Donaldson and the Blue Jays frustrated by Ubaldo Jimenez tonight. Morales has struck out twice. Another off-speed pitch. Not where Jimenez wanted it on 0-2. He wanted to bury it like he did the last one, right?
He came down the mound, knows that he got away with a mistake there. Struck him out the first time up by throwing a fastball and freezing Morales. Tried it again.
Blue Jays trying to get the offense started somehow. Just outside. Wow, Jimenez was on his way to the dugout. No argument from Showalter. 1-2 the count. Got him to chase in the dirt again. That splitter. He strikes out Morales for the 3rd time tonight. And it's been a dominant 7 innings for Ubaldo Jimenez.
Jays on Sportsnet. Presented by the all-new 2017 Honda Rebel. Live your life. Love your ride.
Orioles leading the Blue Jays 2-0 as we go top 8. Jay Happ's line tonight, 6 1/3, 8 hits, 2 earned runs. What'd you think of his outing?
Good enough to win, I thought. His fastball was really good early on, and he was peppering that strike zone with that fastball. Gets his team into the 7th inning. Right now, as it turns out, he's on the hook for the loss. The Blue Jays just have not been able to score any runs for him. 9 starts this year. They've only scored 19 runs for Jay. So I think he's pitched well enough to win.
Dominic Leone back out there for the top of the 8th inning. Adam Jones, Mark Trumbo, and Trey Mancini, the middle of the Orioles lineup coming up this inning. And the slider for a strike, 0-1. Jones tonight, a ground out, a pop up, and he singled and scored back in the 6th when the Orioles scored their 2nd run. No off days between now and the All-Star break for the Blue Jays. The Red Sox in over the weekend. Then the Blue Jays go to New York for 3 before coming back. Close out the pre-All-Star break portion of the schedule with 4 at home against Houston. Astros have had a tremendous first half.
They won again today.
Yes, they did. Beat Oakland 6-1. Carlos Correa hit a couple of homers. 16 on the season for Correa, one of the best young players in baseball. He's just 22. Former first overall pick. Ground ball to second. Goins. Out number 1. This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership, and it may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Rogers Blue Jays Baseball Partnership. Jay Happ, a pretty good night. 2 earned runs in 6 1/3. Over the Rogers Center, Kevin Pillar, another spectacular catch, but a struggling Blue Jay offense. They've got just 1 hit to this point of the game as Mark Trumbo swings and misses. Little frisbee slider right there from Leone.
I told you, he's throwing hard. Everything is hard, and the harder he throws that breaking ball, the more he spins it, the more he gets strikeouts with it. He's good for an inning and 2/3 like he did the other night. You mentioned no off days for the Blue Jays. So does that mean if Aaron Sanchez comes back, do they stick with a 5-man rotation? And that was told to us, yes, no 6-man rotation. They're playing 13 straight days. A lot of times the Blue Jays will add that extra pitcher in there and keep everybody, give them a little extra rest.
And we don't know what will happen, but Joe Biagini is scheduled to start Sunday here. Aaron Sanchez is scheduled to start Sunday in Buffalo. So they could just slide Sanchez back into the spot where Biagini is on Friday. Marco Estrada saying, here's how you grip that pitch to Marcus Stroman.
The way he threw last night. Show him your changeup.
Yeah. Pitchers love to tinker.
Yeah.
Love it.
And you have to do that.
Yeah.
You have to talk about, well, how do you hold your slider? You know, mine's not working too well. So what do you do? And you talk about it and you say, well, I put the pressure on this finger and this is how I make the ball do what it does. And you work on it and you find it. The way Marcus threw last night, he shouldn't change anything. And his breaking ball was moving this much.
It's funny, these guys have known each other for a couple of years. You'd think by now that they've had every conversation you can have about pitch grips, but they can never get enough of it. Leone throwing hard again, 94, and he strikes out Trumbo.
Blue Jays going with 7 relievers down in that bullpen. The starters are going a little bit longer, so they elect to use an extra bench player. Dominic Leone stepping it up tonight. He's retired all 4 batters that he's faced, 2 of them on strikeouts.
Trey Mancini 0 for 2 with a walk.
Well, when you're throwing that hard with that kind of breaking ball, Mark Trumbo can get very frustrating. Mark 0 for 4 tonight.
Ground ball to third. Here comes Donaldson on the run. Got it. 5 batters retired by Leone. The Blue Jays coming up bottom 8, trailing 2-0. Time now for an update. Once again, Jamie Campbell, Greg Zahn in the Samsung broadcast studio.
The Samsung QLED, the next innovation in TV.
Story of the game here at Rogers Center tonight as we move to the bottom of the 8th inning with the Orioles leading the Blue Jays 2-0. You can see just one hit for the Jays. Orion Goins double back in the third. The story has been the performance of Ubaldo Jimenez. When last seen in these parts, he didn't retire a batter. Faced 3 batters in the 11th inning of the wild card game. Single, Edwin Encarnacion home run. See you later. But it's been a much different story. Coming off to a terrible start against Tampa Bay when he gave up 9 runs in 2 1/3. And he has made it look easy tonight. That's just his 86th pitch of the night as he retires Tulowitzki to begin the 8th.
Career ERA in this building over 6. He's given up 1 hit tonight. Went back and looked at his long outings this season for the Orioles, where he's pitched at least 7 innings. He's only done it 3 times this year. 7 innings against the Cardinals, 7 2/3 versus Washington, as Michael Givens is getting up and starting to get loose just in case. 7 2/3 innings at Cincinnati. What do all 3 of those have in common? They're interleague games. Cincinnati, Washington, and St. Louis. They're not familiar with Jimenez. What's puzzling about tonight, the Blue Jays know this guy better than anybody. They've faced him so many times. He's just been that good.
Ezekiel Carrera the batter. 2-1 the count. Carrera 0 for 2. Reached on a fielder's choice his last time up, stole a base. So the Blue Jays had a runner at second with 2 down in the 3rd, had a runner at second with 2 down in the 5th. Runs up to bunt, pulls the bat back 3-1. Got to try anything you can right now. Got to get on base any way possible. Carrera very comfortable trying to bunt for a base hit.
Try to get him out of his rhythm. He's been in a nice rhythm all night long. Step out, maybe take a couple of pitches, call time, get him off his game if you can.
And he takes strike 3 called. Drive of the game brought to you by Honda. Proud fans since 1977, an official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays.
We're going to do something a little bit different tonight. This is about Tejada hitting the ball in the drive of Kevin Pillar. The determination, taking himself into the wall to take away extra bases from Tejada. You have to have a drive to be able to give up your body like that. So Kevin Pillar's catch tonight is our drive of the game.
And now he drives it well to right center field and off the base of the fence. And Pilar slowed down and now gets into second safely. Did he lose the ball, perhaps?
I think he thought it was gone and he had broken it down. I was watching him like the ball had left the ballpark at a home run. Right after he got to first base, he started jogging like the ball had left the ballpark, when in fact it just hit off the wall.
There is some white on the signage out there in right center. You're right. That's a home run try.
Yeah. And then he realizes just in the nick of time that the ball is coming back in from the right fielder.
And I think it's the Invesco sign right there. He just lost it. The white ball in the white sign, and he thought it was gone. Man, that's got to be a bad fraction of a second when you see the baseball coming back into second base. It's not like he didn't run hard out of the box. He just lost the ball, thought it was over the fence.
Yeah, I'm glad he was running with his head up and realized that that ball was coming back in.
So it's a double for Pilar. Second hit of the night for the Blue Jays. And here's the guy who's got the other one, Ryan Goins. I don't think there's any question. He lost it.
Right
white ball, white sign.
Right, right. It looks like it cleared the wall. I mean, you're watching it, right? You're running up the first base. You're watching it. When it disappears, you figure it's gone.
Goins doubled in the third, popped up in the sixth.
As this game has gone on, Jimenez has gotten very comfortable with that splitter and throwing it a little bit more and been using it as an out pitch.
Jimenez at 97 pitches right now with 2 down in the 8th inning. Michael Gibbons is ready if needed in the bullpen. Goins representing the tying run. Popped up and maybe a play for Machado, and there is. And the Blue Jays will leave the Pilar double aboard here. They're down 2-0 at the end of 8. Handshake from his manager Buck Showalter, so that looks like the end of the night for Jimenez, and what a difference 5 days make. 2 1/3, 9 earned runs against Tampa Bay 5 days ago, and 8 terrific innings against the Blue Jays tonight.
Longest outing of the season for Jimenez, and it comes against the Blue Jays. 8 punch outs. We head to the 9th inning, and the Blue Jays' third pitcher of the night will be Ryan Tepera. Tepera's been almost unhittable this year. He's 4-1, 318 earned run average. Both lefties and righties hitting under 200 against Ryan. Been racking up the strikeouts. His fastball command's been good. His slider's been even better this year. And he has come out of that bullpen this season throwing BBs.
Caleb Joseph leads it off for the Orioles. Catcher, number 7 hitter. Late add into the lineup. Wellington Castillo with some discomfort in his knee, and Joseph's taken advantage. Going 2 for 3 with an RBI. Well, as we look at the composition of the Blue Jay bullpen right now, it might be different tomorrow. And if you're not familiar with the name Glenn Sparkman, he is a Rule 5 player. I think Joe Biagini last year. Sparkman, coming from the Royals organization, suffered an injury during spring training. Got healthy. He's been down on rehab in the minors. Good start there for Tepera, 1 down. But you can only have a pitcher, I think it's 30 days is the longest they can be on rehab. Then you got to make a decision on him. So the Blue Jays evidently tomorrow have to decide either to bring Sparkman up, put him on the active roster, or offer him back to the Royals for half the price that they paid for him. And you know, given that they've invested in him, I think they would love to see him at the major league level. So it wouldn't be a surprise if Glenn Sparkman was a Blue Jay tomorrow, would you think?
Yeah, that's the day. Tomorrow is the day. They have to make that decision. Either offer him back, and why would you offer him back now? Right. You're basically 2 months. You have to carry him on your team because rosters can expand in September. And from all indications, he has what it takes to be successful here. They have him starting down in AAA to build up his innings, and they've also had him throwing more innings down there so they can take a look at him to try and help them make that decision. He got hurt early in spring training. Didn't pitch that much for the big team.
You know, the reason you would offer a guy back is if you don't have a spot for him or he's not pitching well enough to justify being on the major league roster and you're contending and you got to give the spot to somebody else. But they could probably find a spot. They just called Chris Smith up, and not advocating that. You know, Smith had a good inning a couple of nights ago, but that would be a spot they could send Smith back down to Buffalo because they wouldn't lose him. If they don't do something with Sparkman, they will lose Sparkman.
Yeah, yeah, you can send a guy with options down and still keep him within the organization. Can't do that with a Rule 5 guy.
Brad Brock up in the Orioles pen. The interim closer, if you will, with Zach Britton on the DL. 1-2 the count on Craig Gentry. Millar back now in towards right center field, 2 down.
Drive home in the all-new 2017 CR-V. Always a fun way to end the game. Honda, proud fan since 1977 and the official vehicle of the Toronto Blue Jays.
Top of the 9th inning at Rogers Center here in Toronto, and Blue Jays and Orioles in the 9th inning with Baltimore leading 2-0. 2 down and the bases empty. Nice work out of the bullpen by Dominic Leone and now Ryan Tepera. The issue for the Blue Jays tonight has been the offense. There has just not been much of it. Just 2 hits tonight. Both 2-out doubles. 1 in the 3rd, 1 in the 8th. Top of the order for the Blue Jays coming up in the bottom of the 9th. They will not see Ubaldo Jimenez. They'll see Brad Brock, Bautista, Martin, Donaldson. As good as Brock is, Blue Jay batters probably just happy to see somebody other than Jimenez at this point.
Yeah, he's been sensational. Hold him right here. See if you can walk off the Orioles in the bottom of the inning. Tepera's got 4 wins out of that bullpen because he's pitched really well, and the Blue Jays have come back a couple of times, especially in extra innings this season.
Red Sox have come back and taken the lead on Minnesota 4-3. Bottom of the 6th inning. Hanley Ramirez has homered. Mookie Betts has homered. The Yankees are in a rain delay right now in Chicago with the White Sox. Bouncing ball to second. Big hop for Goins, and that's the inning. So we will go to the bottom of the ninth, top of the order for the Blue Jays, trying to get something started. Jose Bautista, Russell Martin, and Josh Donaldson coming up. Well-pitched game, fast game to this point. It's the bottom of the ninth. This is it for the Blue Jays, down 2-0 as they now have to deal with Brad Brock.
Brad Brock was a pretty good setup man since the start of 2014. He leads all major league relievers with 24 wins, but now he's got to close games. Picked up that save, his 14th, a couple of nights ago against Blue Jays. He gave up the home run to Tulowitzki in the ninth inning. The Orioles, something to keep in mind, are 30-4. Which in games when Brock pitches this season. So he's had a great year. He's an all-star last season as a setup man. He is now closing with Zach Britton on the disabled list.
Top of the order for the Blue Jays, beginning with Jose Bautista. Bautista 0 for 3 on the night, 2 for 10 in his career against Brock. One of the two is a home run. Russell Martin, Josh Donaldson to follow. Tonight's story, Ubaldo Jimenez, 8 innings, just 2 hits, walked 1, struck out 8. And just was in the strike zone all night long, pounded the strike zone. Was out in front of just about every Blue Jays hitter.
Well, you think Ubaldo Jimenez was funky with his arm swing. Brad Brock is just as funky. Crossfire delivery, steps towards the Blue Jays dugout and then hides that ball. Throws across his body.
Falls behind, 3-1. Martin on deck. Donaldson in the hole. Crowd of 37,291 keeping the faith, still making a good deal of noise here at Rogers Center. Full count.
Got to take a pitch there. Got to try and get on base.
Three-two on the way. Bouncer foul. Red Sox in town to open up a 3-game set tomorrow night. Three-two again. Foul it off again. You'll see, if you haven't seen the Kevin Pillar catch, you'll see it a little bit later on Sports Central. Jays in 30. You'll see it a lot. Blue Jays, though, need some offense to end this night on a happy note. Down 2-0, bottom 9.
Might have been ball 4. Too close to take. Putting up a fight. 8-pitch at bat for Bautista.
Down to third. Machado's got it for out number 1. Now for a preview of what's coming up on Sportsnet Central. Here are Ken Reed and Carolyn Cameron. Well, that's a new one. We'll tune in for more on that. First, though, the Blue Jays trying to come up with a rally here in the bottom of the 9th. Russell Martin up the middle and through. Base hit. So the tying run is going to come to the plate in the bottom of the 9th.
That's why it's so important to keep it 2-0. You get a guy on, and with the Blue Jays' ability to hit home runs, especially home runs late, the tying run's going to come to the plate. Blue Jays have hit 39 home runs this season from the 7th inning on. It's the most in baseball.
Josh Donaldson 0 for 3 tonight. With some good numbers in his career against Brad Brock. 5 for 13. 3 of those 5 hits are doubles. Ball 1.
Brock's a former 42nd round draft pick of San Diego. They got him for a player to be named later. Minor leaguer. Devin Jones. In 2013, he's turned into an all-star.
Funny sport sometimes.
Yes.
Yep. 1-0. Took a strike, 1-1. One on, one out, tying run at the plate, bottom of the 9th. Blue Jays trying to pull one out here against the Orioles. Ground ball just foul up the third baseline. And it's 1-2 on Josh Donaldson. So Martin the long jog back to first.
Outfield deep, nothing over their heads. This is the tying run at the plate. You see the infield is deep too.
1-2 on the way. Fastball there for strike 3 called. 2 down.
Rush might have been looking for an off-speed pitch, and the Orioles cross him up by throwing a fastball. He had a call like this the other night. Thought it was low. That one looked like it was right at the knees.
Now Justin Smoak. Smoak 0 for 3 tonight. Again, the tying run at the plate, but now 2 down. And a changeup from Brock on the first pitch there to Smoak. Misses down and away. Smoak in his career against Brock is 1 for 8. Swinging a drive to right center field, but Jones is there, will make the catch, and the Orioles take the game and take the series, winning 2 out of 3 from the Blue Jays here at Rogers Center.
They got great pitching on Tuesday night. The Orioles only gave up a home run to Tulowitzki. for the run, and then they threw a shutout back at the Orioles yesterday, so the Orioles one up them, shutting out the Blue Jays tonight 2-0. It was all about Ubaldo Jimenez as he pitches a gem to take the series against the Blue Jays.
And the divisional play will continue for the Blue Jays. The Red Sox coming to town for a weekend series beginning tomorrow night. Baltimore wins and takes 2 out of 3. Time now for Sportsnet Central. Once again, here are Ken and Carol.